everybody, master trainer and wellness enthusiast Kiona Leah back with you guys again for another HBK Wellness Wednesday. This week in Maryland, we got snow, and those of you guys who follow me every single day are probably tired of hearing about it right now, aren't you? Needless to say, it did require some shoveling, and one of the things that I've seen that's very common when people have to shovel snow is backaches. So we've been looking all week at how to hack your back and help with soreness, stiffness, and pain, as well as building some of that core in order to really protect that back the next time you have to pick up and throw a bunch of heavy objects back to back to back to back. Now, sometimes movement is not just enough. Within T-TAP method, of course, the extremely lymphatic benefit of all of the moves that really are part of the reason why people can lose inches so quickly, and it helps with recovery from so many health issues, is because of that movement of the lymph system. And we use that a lot in order to help reduce inflammation. But sometimes movement is just not enough, or you're hurting so much that you can't move to even get yourself going. So what do you do then? There's plenty of options out there. However, the thing of it is, not all of us can partake in all of those options. People who've had gastric bypass surgery generally can only be prescribed things like Tylenol for their pain. And for someone like myself who has lots of gastric upset, lots of food allergies, even something as simple as a prescription for naproxen or naproxen, depending on how you say it, can be problematic. I actually was put on it, goodness, at this point it's been over 12 years, for some foot injuries. And within 3 days of taking that, the pain in my gut far surpassed any pain I had had in my feet, which I'd been dealing with for months. So it just was not worth it. It set me on this quest to have to learn and find all these alternatives, because a lot of people know aspirin. Part of the reason why all those alternatives like Tylenol and acetaminophen is Tylenol, I apologize, and ibuprofen were created to begin with was because of the stomach upset that aspirin can cause for people, especially if they have to take a lot of it for one reason or another. Opiates, we know, can be addictive, and you can only get them by prescription anyway. So we can't always run out and do that for something as simple as an achy back. So here is a small list, my list personally, of the various things that I turn to when I am looking to relieve pain and body aches in a different kind of way. First and foremost, obviously, moving that lymph and working with the lymphatic system. Make sure you are well hydrated. Hydration, hydration, hydration can make such a difference in getting rid of stiffness, because now the body has enough fluids to move and create more lymph to pull that inflammation. For blood flow and oxygen, bringing oxygen to an inflamed area can also start reducing the free radicals and that inflammation. So make sure you have that. If you want to support your liver, which frequently is how the body starts to really process that inflammation once it's been gathered, add some lemon, half a lemon, to some boiling hot water first thing in the morning. Drink that up, and that's going to help support your system. Those are super easy ways. What are some other things? If you're looking to swallow pills, the biggest thing that I can recommend that we started with, of course, is alfalfa. It is very anti-inflammatory. It's also high in vegetable-based protein. So especially if muscle aches are what's bothering you, you're going to get a 1-2 punch from your alfalfa. Make sure you know how it's been processed as best as you possibly can. You want cold pressed extracted alfalfa in order to have the full complement of the live enzymes that are still in the plant to give you those benefits and not cause weight gain, which can be a side effect of baked alfalfa. So you have to be careful with that. Additionally, turmeric is another hugely anti-inflammatory supplement that you can take. If you mix that with black pepper, called curcumin, that is another fantastic anti-inflammatory that can literally be right in your kitchen cabinet depending on how you like to cook, but easily available over-the-counter pill. You do have to be careful because there are some side effects with curcumin and turmeric in particular, so make sure that you read about some of those thinning properties that they can have and interactions with other medications, but it's a fantastic way. Essential fatty acids, your omega-3 and your omega-6 fatty acids, are really, really, really beneficial for inflammation. So if you already take some, you can bump up the amount that you're taking. Also, remember timing, timing, timing. You're going to reset from inflammation and you're going to heal overnight. So push those things toward the end of your day, especially if you're going through those body aches for a couple days in a row, and you're going to recover faster overnight. And then you can front load them in the morning as well if you really, really need to. But essential fatty acids are another greatly anti-inflammatory thing that I do on a regular basis. There are homeopathic remedies that are out there. Check with your homeopath for those. I take one by a company called ProSol that I must get through my homeopath, called Inflamens, and it is fantastic as well. And especially if I've had some sort of injury, I can be taking several of those. Rhodozyme and Wobenzyme, some of which are available commercially, are other great anti-inflammatories. When I shredded my meniscus almost 12 years ago now, those were some that I was practically eating like candy, up to 30 a day, and there's no massive benefit. There's no ultra indications for your gut with that. You do have to be careful with processing them, but enzymes especially can be really helpful for inflammation in the body. Now, what about things like soaking or topicals? Personally, my favorite topical is a blend. I like to use arnica profen. So that does have some ibuprofen in it. It's topical, so you put it on your skin, and it has arnica in it, which again is a homeopathic anti-inflammatory. This is also fantastic for bruising. So if whatever you did that's causing you those issues, it also left a big purple or blue mark on your arm, or even a little yellow one, arnica is a great way to really speed up the healing from that bruising. So look for arnica profen. It's available at almost any health food store. And recently, I actually found one that also had CBD oil in it and lavender essential oil. So it smells kind of delicious, and it's very anti-inflammatory. Essential oils can be really good for that, but you have to be careful with them. Peppermint, spearmint, things of that nature. They're great for those kind of aches and pains, but they cannot be put directly on the skin. You must dilute them. And sometimes you dilute them to the point they're not helping you that much. That's where it's nice to have a pre-blended cream that has those things in it already. Now here's a couple of little secrets from my homeopath that I would not have believed if I didn't experience them for myself. First and foremost, an Epsom salts bath. Many of us have heard of that. The body and the muscles directly absorb the magnesium sulfate from the Epsom salts. And magnesium is another great anti-inflammatory. However, taking doses of magnesium orally can again cause that gastric upset. I have to be super, 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 super. There's like a very exact measured amount of magnesium I can take every day, and I cannot go over that, or I am not a happy camper the next day. I also take magnesium right at the end of my day because all of the shifting and moving that it creates in the GI tract, I don't want to be awake for that. So I take it right before I go to bed. It does help you sleep as well. But Epsom salts, that magnesium sulfate, sitting in a bath of that, it gets absorbed directly to the muscles. So you bypass the issue with the gut when that happens. Here's the thing. I've heard people say plenty of times over the years, that doesn't work. How much are you using? When you're talking about a salts bath, you really should start to think about measuring it almost in pounds. I generally put 4 cups of Epsom salts in my bath water. A lot of times people only put 1 and they wonder why it doesn't work, because you don't have enough of it. That is a fantastic way. There's another opportunity to potentially add a drop or 2 of some essential oil to help absorb as well. Be careful with those ones that sting, however. You want to use things like lavender that's safe on the skin. Now, you can also take that Epsom salts and you can do something really, really surprising with it. You can take that Epsom salts and you can put it in hydrogen peroxide, and you can soak your hands or feet, whichever is closer to where you're stiff and sore is what you want to soak. It's usually easier to soak our feet because we can soak our feet and then we can sit and do other things with our hands. But if you've got an injured arm, shoulder, or whatever, and you can afford to just sit there, you fill it up, whole bottle, just over the counter, hydrogen peroxide, and then again, a cup of Epsom salts, and soak your hands or feet in it. Let them sit there for a good hour. and you can actually feel that inflammation starting to pull and drain out. Would not have believed it if I didn't do it myself. And a crazier recipe than that, because at least that has Epsom salts in it, which a lot of us are familiar with. Crazier formula than that is hydrogen peroxide and, believe it or not, pomegranate juice. Equal amounts of both, however much you need to cover, whether it's your hands or your feet, to fill up whatever tray you have them in so that you're completely submerged. Again, sit there, just let your feet or hands soak in that for at least an hour, and you will be shocked. I know I was. It was one of those, my crazy homeopath told me to try this when I had the shredded meniscus and I'd been through all the pain and couldn't take the naproxen and could only do so much. And she said, 50-50 blend, pomegranate juice, peroxide, you'll be fine, soak your foot in it. And boy, did it work. And I really could feel that inflammation leaving. And you can actually sort of see these two things blend together and they start to precipitate. So there's a chemical reaction, an acid-base reaction happening that creates a precipitate, and that's helping to pull out that inflammation. Now, pomegranate juice is not inexpensive. And I hear you guys out there going, are you kidding me? That's going to be $7 for one treatment. I could just go buy some aspirin. But that you can recharge. So you can put an additional equal part of peroxide, which is super cheap, in again and soak again the next day. Then you go ahead and dispose of it. So believe it or not, try it, and please let me know if you do try it. You make sure and comment below and let me know what your experience was. I showed this to my father about a year before he had his double bilateral knee surgery because his arthritis was so bad. We'd been down to the Capitol Mall and gone walking around all day so he could see the wall from Vietnam because he was a Vietnam veteran. And we got back and he couldn't walk, and we stuck his feet in that bath and we watched Benjamin Button, believe it or not, the movie, and he was stunned by the end of it that his knee pain went away. And he was a chemist, so he goes, well, the chemical formula of hydrogen peroxide is this, but what's the chemical formula? He was actually legitimately trying to figure out what that chemical reaction was. We never did figure it out, but if you've got the chemical formula for pomegranate juice, you make sure and comment below with that as well, and we can do some chemistry together. All right, you guys, so that is a nice long list. One last final thing, ice. That is a fantastic and super cheap anti-inflammatory. Just make sure that you wrap it so it's not directly on your skin, because it can cause, obviously, ice burns as a result. That is, I think, now I have remembered my entire list from top to bottom of alternate anti-inflammatories if for some reason you can't use the stuff that's over the counter or a typical prescription like I can't. All right, you guys, that's a great way to hack your back if it's bothering you. What do you want to talk about next week? There was something somebody asked me about, and unfortunately I have forgotten it. So please send me a note and let me know what topic you had asked about so I can talk about it next week on our HBK Wellness Wednesday. In the meantime, I want to see you move, live, and thrive. So I'll see you on the next one.